Okay, welcome back to the channel. I don't think I've ever said welcome back to the channel before, but welcome back to the channel. I don't think today's Genesis study is going to be all that long. There's not really much to talk about. We're going over the Battle of Foreskins, is what it's alluded to. It's a nickname. We're going to be talking about what happened with Dina and Shechem. I'm just going to waste no time and just jump straight into it. What I do want to start off by saying, though, I didn't clock this until I finished writing this, so I'm just going to say it here. And it's that it's really right. So, when we spoke about Dina being a form of judgment, I missed something, right? Something happened that shows up here that's already happened that just further proves that point. And it's the same thing that Jacob did to Rachel is, well, not exactly, I'm not talking like that, right? But what I mean is, he saw her and he fell in love with her instantly, and he gave 7 years of his life for her. Something similar happens with Shechem, and Dina. He sees her, but he goes about it in the more animalistic, tribal fashion, which I guess you could say is kind of a testament to the difference between Israel and the pagan nations. So Dina's name means judgment. God saw the situation between Leah and Rachel and judged accordingly between them. Leah gave birth to Dina, and then Rachel gave birth to Joseph. Leah did not have any children after that. And now that they've settled in this new place, Dina is portraying some of her mother's characteristics and attributes because Dina has unfortunately inherited them from Leah. She's inherited all the negative ways in which Leah saw herself, because Dina is a physical embodiment of this judgment. And as the only daughter of Leah, it would make sense Dina would be the one to inherit these negative things. It may not be entirely clear at this moment in time, but as we go through the text, it will, and it leads to some rather dire consequences. Genesis 34, verses 1 to 3. And Dinah saw the daughters of Leah, which she bare unto Jacob, went out to see the daughters of the land. And when Shechem, the son of Hamor, the Hivite, prince of the country, saw her, he took her and lay with her and defiled her. And his soul clave unto Dinah, the daughter of Jacob. And he loved the damsel, and spake kindly unto the damsel. The Bible doesn't say things for no reason. It's making a point of clarifying that Dina is the daughter of Leah, and she innocently decides to go out to see the daughters of the land. The question is why? Why would Dina decide to venture out in an attempt to make friends with the daughters of the Hivites? God's judgment has been brewing for a rather long time concerning pagan tribes and how they wrongfully inhabit his good land. Because through the narrative so far, Paddan Aram has had an incredible amount of significance. That's where Abraham lived, and that's where Isaac's wife was found. That's where Jacob found his wives and established his family. It holds deep significance to the patriarchy of Abraham. When what happened with Dina happened, it's in the next chapter. Does God visit Jacob and change his name to Israel? Could it mean that what happened was a way of God showing Jacob that these people are not to be coexisted with? Either way, I digress. The only conclusion I can come to is that Dina has grown lonely. She longs for human interaction and a group of people where she can find value and a sense of belonging in, the same way Leah tried to find herself in Jacob and not God. Dina has her mother, her father, her aunt, and all her brothers, so why would she need to go off and explore? We can draw from what happened to Leah that Dina is walking in her footsteps. She's trying to find herself in external things. Dina being a product of all Leah's flaws would signify that, because of this fact, Dina's desires are similar to that of Leah. Why? Dina is carrying burdens due to the circumstances, the same way Leah longed to be loved due to how she saw herself. We can only assume that because of these feelings, Dina is lacking a sense of identity. and she can't find it in her family, which is sad because her father is the one carrying the covenant of Abraham. She is Dina, the only daughter of the head of God's holy tribe. That's such an honorable title, but it isn't serving her. So she tries to find this sense of belonging in the wrong place. The same way we try to find that sense of belonging in sin, the things that destroy us. But don't get it twisted. I'm not blaming Dina for what happened, because that would be a heartless thing to do. All I'm doing is illustrating that a bad thing happened because she tried to find herself in the wrong place. Because God has made it rather clear that his people should have nothing to do with these tribes of Canaan. And when we try to find our identity in sin, it only ends up harming us. On the other hand, the Bible says something intensely interesting about Shechem, and that is, after he did what he did, the text reads this, that his soul clave to Dina, meaning that Shechem developed a soul tie to Dina, because it was laid out explicitly in Genesis 2 that a man should leave his mother and father, cleave unto his wife, and they shall be one flesh. Shechem has developed an illegal spiritual bond with Dina that is in violation of God's covenant, which is why the Bible then goes on to say that he loved her and spoke kind things about her. Notice how he constantly refers to her as a damsel. It's pointing towards the fact that he became obsessed with her. He developed deep feelings towards her and a codependency. He became bonded to her. But here's the thing about soul ties. They disguise themselves as genuine love. And if you're blindsided, then you're never going to be able to tell the difference, because they masquerade as warm and wholesome feelings until the rug is swept from underneath your feet and you get killed spiritually. Sometimes physically. That might just be the reason as to why people kill themselves when a partner breaks up with them, because spiritually the enemy has used that person to trap them and control them. He used those people as a power move to get to you, but that's why God has to allow the enemy to do it, because it's him turning good what the enemy meant for evil. But in the end, the legal bond killed Shechem. So we move on. Hammer tries to mingle the tribes. Shechem eventually goes to his father and requests that he speak to Jacob so that he can marry Dina, but of course, when they hear what happened, they don't give Hammer a kind reception. But can you blame him for this? Shechem eventually goes to his father and requests that he speak to Jacob so that he can marry Dina. But of course, when they hear what has happened, they don't give Hammer a kind reception. Can you blame them? By doing this, the Israelites would be disobeying God on a huge scale, because as we know, God does not want his people mingling with these heathens, especially when it comes to marriage. Just look at Easter as an example. It can cause many complications and cause the Israelites to go down paths they shouldn't even consider going down. And unfortunately, we see that play out further on down the line. As of right now, this is exactly what Hammer wants. He doesn't simply want his son to marry Dina, but rather for his people and God's people to coexist. This is how the enemy attempts to get you to live a life of compromise. Then we move on, because Jacob's sons deceive him. I made hot chocolate. Not like powder hot chocolate, like actual hot chocolate with 90% dark chocolate. Pretty good. I put honey in it. You're gonna get ASMR. Oh well. I'm leaving this in too, I don't care. Can't really taste the honey though. Anywho, Genesis 34 verses 13 to 15. And the sons of Jacob answered Shechem and Hamor his father deceitfully, and said, because he had defiled Dina their sister. And they said unto him, we cannot do this thing, to give our sister to one that is uncircumcised. for that were a reproach unto us. But in this we will consent unto you, if ye will be as we be, that every male of you be circumcised. One has to admit that it is clever. It's a clever way of getting your enemy's guard down. Hamor should have never told them that his son's soul craved Dina. It was his biggest mistake, and it reminds me of the first time the enemy tempted Christ. I once heard Pastor G. Craig Lewis put it like this when Satan tried to make Jesus bow to him. He asked the question, why would I accept from you, as a gift, what I've come to take from you by force? That can be applied to the Israelites too. Why would they coexist with these pagan tribes when they've been called to kill on each and every single one of them and take back what was rightfully theirs? Maybe I'm jumping the gun there, but anywho. God did not want them making peace with evil, and it cost them too much. Simply look at what happened because they didn't do it. Just pay attention to the stories of 1st and 2nd Kings, Isaiah, Jeremiah, Ezekiel, Joshua, and so forth. Israel as of today should be 10 times bigger than it is, but it's not. And that's a consequence of them not taking all the land. They had to be circumcised because according to the terms and conditions of the agreement, if they didn't circumcise themselves, not only would they not let Shechem marry Dina, but they would pack up and leave altogether, meaning they knew what Hamor was really up to. This isn't just about his son marrying Dina. Hamor wants the Israelites compromised, and they're not going to let it happen. The covenant will not be defiled. And obviously, Hamor agrees to this to get what he wants. And after this is agreed upon, Hamor and Shechem go back up to the city and talk with their fellow man. Genesis 34 verses 22 to 23. Only herein will the men consent unto us for to dwell with us, to be one people, if every male among us be circumcised as they are circumcised. Shall not their cattle and their substance and every beast of theirs be ours? Only let us consent unto them, and they will dwell with us. Now that Jacob's sons aren't around, their true nature is coming out. Jacob has wealth in abundance. Of course, they want a piece of it, but it's a testament to their character. They're willing to sell out and falsely come into agreement with God's covenant just for the materialistic benefits. Yet in the end, it kills them. They couldn't carry that weight. What ends up happening is God judges their hearts. And in the end, they end up losing all their substance. Instead, after Jacob's sons take it all for themselves, they eventually circumcise themselves, and Simeon and Levi pay them a visit. Genesis 34 verses 25 to 26. And it came to pass on the 3rd day, when they were saw that the 2 sons of Jacob, Simeon and Levi, Dina's brethren, took each man his sword, and came upon the city boldly, and slew all the males. And they slew Hamor and Shechem, his sons, with the edge of the sword, and took Dina out of Shechem's house, and went out. Now this caused contention between them and Jacob, because Jacob wasn't pleased with what they did. It may have been justified in all honesty, because there was no way things were going to go how the Hivites planned. It just couldn't happen. In their eyes, Dina had been immensely dishonored. And to add insult to injury, they wanted her and Shechem to get married so they could intermingle, violate the covenant they have with God, and then lose all the blessings. When you put it like that, what Simeon and Levi did was indeed justifiable, but it also goes to show that God really isn't a respecter of persons, because many times we see throughout the Old Testament that God let the enemy tribes do to Israel what Israel just did to the enemy tribes. Genesis 34 verses 30 to 31. And Jacob said to Simeon and Levi, Ye have troubled me to make me stink among the inhabitants of the land, among the Canaanites and the Perizzites. And I being few in number, they shall gather themselves together against me and slay me, and I shall be destroyed, I and my house. And they said, Should he deal with our sister as with a harlot? It honestly sounds like Jacob It's talking out of fear. But to an extent, we can't blame him, because what Simeon and Levi did, it has the potential to backfire. And they'll reap huge repercussions for their actions. But maybe Jacob is missing something here, which is what Simeon and Levi did was necessary for the progression of the tribe. By stopping this ordeal from taking place, they protected the covenant, saved their sister, and restored honor to the tribe. They may have gone about it the wrong way by deceiving Hamor, but the situation required radical action. Hamor and Shechem should not have treated Dina like a harlot. She's worth a lot more than that to them. But with all that said, does the actions and intentions of Simeon and Levi remind you of anyone? They deceived their enemy and took them out, even if they went about it the wrong way. Justice had been delivered. And we'll leave it there. Told you it's going to be a short one. Next time, I don't think the next study will be long too. Quite short. I hope you enjoyed. I hope you learned something. I hope you were blessed and edified. Thank you. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed it, like it, share it. Someone who you think will benefit from it, subscribe. What else have we got going on? The Discord server. We now have a Patreon. If you like this ministry, and if you have benefited from this ministry in any way, and you would like to give back, well, now you can with Patreon. For $5 a month, you get early access to Genesis study videos, as well as other videos such as deliverance teachings and whatnot, along with the full script. So I'll leave a link down below. Thank you for watching. God bless you. Have a great rest of your week, and I'll see you next time.